Hey everyone, hope everything is going well. In this video, I want to touch on some of the essentials of the Cal Poly career fairs and things that you can do to get the most out of them and hopefully stand out. So this video is going to be broken up into three phases: strategy, first impression, and follow-up. Now before I jump into discussing the strategy component, first I'll give a few general miscellaneous tips. The first one being sign up early for the career fairs, as oftentimes slots will fill up and you really don't want to be on the wait list or not able to get in some cases. So really make sure that you're aware when the career fair is going to take place, when the sign up opens up, so that way you'll be able to attend it for sure. My second tip is to definitely show up to the career fairs, as I know some people think that the career fairs are not all that useful and not a productive use of time, but I would argue that it's definitely worth showing up to the career fairs, at least the fall career fair, which tends to be the busiest / best fair, and just see what you can get, put yourself out there. I would say earlier on, especially as a first year and maybe even a second year, you shouldn't really have too high expectations, but you should definitely still show up and get that experience talking to recruiters and putting yourself out there. And I've seen that as you progress to your third and even fourth year, you'll get more opportunities from their career fairs. But with that being said, I would definitely encourage you to go to as many career fairs as you can. So now with phase one, strategy, my first tip would be to first look at all the companies that are coming to the career fair prior to the actual fair, and then write down the subset of companies that you're most interested in learning about. So my next tip would be to gather data. Now what I mean by that is some companies that you'll talk to just have you scan a QR code and fill out an interest form or direct you to a general application, while other companies will have more tangible results. Like they'll talk to you about your specific experiences, ask you questions about your experiences and skills, and then some companies will even interview you the next day or within the same week. So there are a few ways you can do this data gathering. I would say first you can scan around and see for yourself. If you see certain booths with just a QR code and like a sign saying fill out this interest form, then maybe it's not worth waiting in the long line, and instead just get the QR code, fill out the form, and move on. And additionally, you can talk to friends and maybe other people who are willing to give you some tips on other companies, and that way you can be more efficient with the career fair. My final tip within this phase is to have a brief elevator pitch, as recruiters will be speaking to hundreds of students, so just make things easy for them by highlighting your skills and experiences, interests, and why you would like to work at the company. So now with regards to phase two, the first impression, the first tip I would have is to understand a bit about each company that you want to talk to. You don't need to spend a lot of time researching each company in depth and really understanding the core aspects of their business, unless you want to, of course. But if the recruiter asks you what stands out to you about the company and what interests you and why you'd actually want to intern or work at the company, you should have a response that's at least somewhat specific and relevant to the company. I would say, once again, don't feel like you need to go too overboard with this, as part of the career fair is actually to have a conversation with the recruiter and have your questions answered as well. My second tip is to bring lots of resumes. This is something I really wouldn't skimp out on, and if you don't have a printer at home, you can always go to the University Union and print your resumes for pretty cheap. I would say just don't go right before the career fair because things will get crowded. And you should also take a folder, something as simple as a manila folder with your resumes, and maybe when you get to the front of the line you can have one resume out in your hand so you can easily hand it to a recruiter or go over your experiences with them. Sometimes the recruiters may not accept your resume, or they may just throw it in a pile, and it may not seem to be that useful, but it's at least professional to have your resumes ready. On the same note, be prepared to answer any question about your resume. Some recruiters will definitely ask you about your resume, and you don't want to be caught off guard with certain questions. So now a couple tips for phase 3 following up. As soon as you're done talking to the recruiter, you should connect with them on LinkedIn. It's usually not too hard to find their LinkedIn accounts. Finally, make sure to apply for the roles within the companies you're interested in. And the really important thing is to mark that you actually spoke to a recruiter at a career fair for the question that asks about how you actually heard about the company. Alright, that's all I had. I really believe if you follow these tips, then you'll put your best foot forward with these career fairs. However, with that being in mind, these are really the things you can do, and you really can't control the outcomes, as a lot of this is luck and a pure numbers game. So really make sure that you're applying to as many places as possible online as well. Hope this was helpful overall. Make sure to like and subscribe if it was, and I'll see you next time.